Hey everyone, welcome to Game Over. Oh, I am really quiet, aren't I? Welcome to Game Over, the first one of the year following a loss as the Calgary Flames drop a 5-2 decision to the Penguins of Pittsburgh. My name is Peter Klein. Audie was usually the one who got to do the losses last season, so this is new territory for me today. Yes, coming up on this show, we are going to look at whatever went wrong for the Flames in their loss here against the Pittsburgh Penguins, some things that went right, and we will get to your questions at the end of it. As always, if you are we'll get to that. If you're watching on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, a little thumbs up gives me a nice boost. But let's, and also in the chat, I'm seeing some Leaf stuff in the chat. So hopefully that stops. But anyway, this was a strong game for the Calgary Flames until it wasn't. Hopefully this is a strong stream. If you guys, if there's any issues, this is my first one of the year, and I'm always very worried about technical issues. So please let me know if anything is going wrong. But okay, let's get into it. The Flames had a 1-0 lead going into the third period, and then Pittsburgh comes out, scores 2 goals in the first 40 seconds of the hockey game, and it would get worse as Calgary gives up 5 in the third period, falling 5-2 to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Just an absolute collapse by the Flames. There's no other way to put it. This isn't going to be yelling and screaming or anything like that. This is just like factual. The Flames played poorly in the third period. And Pittsburgh didn't. That's basically what this game comes down to. But I think there's a bigger thing than that than just like shoulder shrug emoji and 20 minutes, hey? I think there was a bit of an issue all night long with the Flames being a little bit sloppy with the puck. That this was something that was a problem even when it looked like things were going well. There were a lot of turnovers, a lot of passes that just missed, something that we saw a lot last season that came back once again this year. A lot of shots that missed the net. So we saw some issues with this Calgary Flames squad that didn't come back to bite them in the first period, but it did come back to bite them in the third period as the Penguins were able to take advantage. And specifically what they were able to take advantage of were turnovers. Lots and lots and lots and lots of turnovers. You could make a joke about the bakery and stuff like that, but I'm not 100. Look at the first goal. Sidney Crosby makes a strong play. Bing, bang, boom. It ends up in the back of the net. Also, then you get another turnover. And look at that. Bang, bang, boom. It ends up in the back of your net. And then there's a face-off play. But then another turnover. And then the puck ends up on the stick of Evgeny Malkin. That's a bad spot for a puck to end up when you've just turned the puck over. And instead, that was where it went. And it went into the back of the net. And at that point, the game is done. But this is something that Calgary has to mind. Because I thought there was a touch of sloppiness in their game against the Winnipeg Jets on opening night. And look, we are now 1/41st of the way through this hockey season. There's a bit to go that they can... This isn't irreparable by any stretch. Hey, just don't turn the puck over as much. Cool? Cool. That's basically where we are at with this Flame squad. There was just too much sloppiness, too much, let's just try this home run pass. The Penguins were right there, and then it was the wrong people that came in and took advantage of it. It's 3 goals off of turnovers and 1 off of a blown coverage on a face-off play. And I get, like, hey, Pittsburgh's really good at faceoffs, and that is, I think, an area that gets overlooked a touch. I know that there's some debates on it either way. I'm not here to legislate faceoff wins today, but it feels like, just a thought here, it feels like maybe don't leave the Penguins' leading scorer from last season wide open. Just a thought. Like, just make a note for next time. Don't leave the guy who scored 36 goals a season ago wide open for a one-timer off of a face-off. It's a nice set play where Gensel comes in off of the wall, cuts across the entire, to steal a to steal a football term, cuts across the entire formation, and is just wide open there, because that can create a little bit of chaos. We saw Coronado go from his spot, beeline up to the blue line where the puck ended up being. I don't know if that's necessarily his guy, but it certainly created a lot of confusion. And if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, I would say having a set play off of face-off wins would be a smart way to go, because you have Sidney Crosby, who's still like the best in the world at winning face-offs. And that was... it was just a magically set up play by the Penguins. You can do nothing but tip your cap. I'm not going to because my hair looks atrocious, but the Penguins had everything set up. It was turnover, took advantage, quick bang scores. You have face-off win, quick opportunity, and it's in the back of your net. That is what the Pittsburgh Penguins can do, and it is what they did to great success in this game with a 5-2 win. This was another night where another issue that I had was just overall lack of control in the defensive end. I thought they got away with it on night one against the Winnipeg Jets because Jacob Markstrom turned into a literal brick wall for most of that game and was just unbeatable. And so when you have that happening, it certainly does kind of cover up a number of different flaws that you may be having. But in this one, and Markstrom was still great, and we will get to that as this stream goes along, but the defensive breakdowns were still there. This team, it felt like, for lack of a better term, it felt like they were chasing it all night in the defensive zone. This looked like a team that just kind of didn't really have a plan. And I get, like, you're going to lose something defensively when you go from Daryl Sutter to almost literally anyone. That's going to be, there's going to be a downside to that. There's not much of a downside. I think most people in this chat would agree that the lack of Daryl Sutter is not a problem for this Calgary Flames team this season. But you do have certain defensive structures that have been lacking in the first couple of games. It feels like there's been a couple of the times where if they were playing NHL 24, that weird little full pressure thing would come up and the boards would turn red. And I haven't played the game yet. I'm assuming a demon comes out. But it feels like there's a couple of times where it would be the full pressure moment for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and Calgary is just chasing. There's no, okay, well, you get this guy, you get that guy. It's kind of just everyone running around with their heads cut off. That doesn't seem like the most ideal defensive strategy against anyone, but specifically against the Penguins. And one thing you have to be mindful of against the Penguins is Erik Karlsson is going to go down into the offensive zone and just have a time for a little bit. And Calgary just kind of seemed like, wait, if he's there, then wait, what? How is this happening? There was no game plan for it. And so this is something that has to get tightened up. Markstrom has been phenomenal through a couple of games, and we'll get to that a little bit more. The problem is he's had to be, because this team's defensive structure has been a major issue. Now, Winnipeg has some offensive firepower, but it's not Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Riley Smith, and so on and so forth. Jake Gensel, it's not those guys. When you go up against some of these high-powered teams, and you're going to be facing it all season long, don't know if you know this, the Edmonton Oilers, pretty good at putting the puck in the net. Colorado, kind of awesome at it. Vegas, not bad. Seattle can do it as well. Vancouver had a guy who, until Austin Matthews scored 3 again tonight, was leading the NHL in goals because he scored 4 the other night, and he's not even their best player. There are a lot of very good offenses in the National Hockey League. The Penguins are one of them, but the Flames made them look a whole lot better than I think they necessarily needed to in Game 1. Couple other things of note from this one. I've seen it noted a couple of times here in the chat. And by the way, we are going to do, if you're new to the streams for 23-24, we're going to do the press conference at the end, SDP style. So a lot of questions going to be answering there. I am going to be trying to monitor the YouTube chat. I don't know if you've noticed this so far, but I am but one person on this one. No guest this evening. That Psychosis Max isn't just going to start talking. This is just me. So there's a couple of things might slip through the cracks on ye old chat. So if you have something that you directly want to ask me specifically, by all means, save that for the end. If you guys are just chatting in there, and we got a lot of activity in the chat tonight, really do appreciate that. But by all means, while I'm talking, you guys can have your conversations in there. That's fine. But if there's anything you want me to directly address, save that for the end. All of that being said, I did see here in the chat that there was, where was this? Matt C. said, one team has legit top tier stars, one team genuinely lacks them. And that feels like it's a touch harsh, but not overly incorrect for how this game went down tonight, because this one felt like the Penguins' best players were their best players. It kind of felt like the third period, Crosby or Malkin was just always on the ice. It kind of felt like both of them were out there at the same time, which doesn't feel correct because I don't think they would have played the full 20 minutes, but it felt like the Penguins' top players were just out there the whole game. Where on the Flames side, like, there were some chances. Huberdeau banks it in off of Gensel in front. That's neat. Lindholm gets a shot. That's fine. Kadri makes a steal, sets up Ruzicka. That's cool. But there was no, like, hey, and it's something I called for last year, but there was no, all right, let's go on and win this hockey game tonight, shall we? What we saw that in the third period against Winnipeg, we did not see it in this one. The Flames' top players just kind of blended in with the crowd in this one, while the Penguins' top players, they were the top players of this game, and that's something that needs to change. It was a big problem last year, and it has now crept up into this one. And even with the Flames getting a big shift in the third period that leads to the game-winning goal from them in game one, that still came with like a minute and a half left. So for most of that game, it was still kind of, they just blended in with that game. And when you have Huberdeau, who is making what he is making, and you have Lindholm, who wants to be making what Huberdeau is making, then you need those guys to step up. And I just don't feel like they have in the first couple of games. And they've tried to get them going with Kadri, with Mangiapane, with a couple of those guys, and it just really hasn't worked. It's very clearly working in Pittsburgh. And now they have a pretty extensive history to have a proof of concept with, where this version of the Calgary Flames doesn't necessarily, but the Flames' top guys did not step up in the same way that the Penguins' top players did in this one. And the last one here on the Peter shits on the Flames portion of this particular program. When you play a team in the back part of a back-to-back, the second of the back part, second game of a back-to-back, the third period should be yours, right? Like, it should be, if anyone is going to be scoring 5 goals in the third period, it should not be the team that's playing minutes 100 through 120 of their last 24 hours, right? Like, it feels like if a 5-goal third period is going to be happening, it should be the fresher Calgary Flames, not the oldest team in the NHL coming off of a back-to-back where they played Washington the night before. So it's a really, really disappointing night for the Flames in that sense as well, because of the circumstances where Pittsburgh had just played, and I don't think Calgary did enough to make life difficult for the Penguins. They didn't have to grind for their offensive chances. We discussed that. The neutral zone was just free and clear for Pittsburgh all night to just race through. They really didn't make Pittsburgh work for their chances. And I'm not saying we have to go back to Daryl Sutter hockey. I'm just saying, let's not make life super easy on the opposition from now on. That, I think, would be great. Like I said, we're going to do the press conference at the end of the end of the stream here. That's going to be segment 3. But while you are here, the chat is bumping tonight. We got 40 people in there. Like this video. I think I'm doing great so far. Subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help. Gets us going into the algorithm. We kind of got algorithm to death last year. We're hoping that doesn't happen this year. And if YouTube sees, hey, this video is getting a lot of likes, we better not give it to anyone. That's not how algorithms work. So give us a bit of a boost. Like this video. Share it with your friends as well. We got some Pens fans in here. We got some Flames people in the chat as well. It's a good time. Should be a lot of fun on a Saturday night talking some hockey. I'm having a blast talking with you guys here in this my third go around with Game Over. You can follow me. My name is Peter Klein. I am at Primetime Klein on Twitter /X, Instagram, and TikTok. There were some bright spots for the Calgary Flames. This was not all doom and gloom, although the last 20 minutes of hockey may lead you to believe that. There was actually some positives from a Flames standpoint. Matt Coronado scores his first career NHL goal. Unfortunately, it does come in a losing effort, but it was everything you would want it to be. That type of a goal is the goal that, like, people who score just like little dribbler that gets through or the puck bounced in off of your skate, that's the type of goal that people pretend they score for their first career NHL goal. When you're dreaming of your first NHL goal, I'm sure one of the dreams is I hammer in a one-timer top shelf against Sidney Crosby, right? Like, and that's exactly what it is. And that's why people are so excited about Matt Coronado. He has all of the offensive gifts you would want. That one-timer, apparently, is a very good tool in the tool case, because holy hell was that thing bombed. It wasn't like it feels like it had more precision than to say ball, like lasered feels like the way that it, like it was just whatever you want to, however you want to describe it. That was just chef's kiss, phenomenal shot from Matt Coronado. He has a wrist shot that goes along with it as well. And the thing that you like from someone who is still so young, especially in the National Hockey League, the instincts are there, right? Like he knows where he is supposed to be offensively. There was the one play, I believe it was a preseason game, where yeah, it was because he scored. He got a deflection as he was going by, and instead of just kind of flying by, circling back around, it was a deflection, and he stayed right there and put it in. And it's those little things that kind of seem obvious when they're happening, but so many times in this game, you'll see a guy just do like a drive by, and it's a deflection, and he scores, and he doesn't score, and he's just like circles back around, like, okay, what are we doing? This kid knows the openings. He has an understanding of what his strengths are. I think he knows what his weaknesses are as well. Like you can already see him kind of figuring out how he can, for lack of a better term, game the system with in the National Hockey League. He has everything you want to be a high-end offensive player. All of the hype is absolutely deserved around this kid, and you see it in one big shot for the Flames. That was really, really good so far for Matt Coronado. The other one, I thought Markstrom was great again tonight. I really liked what he was able to do. Again, 5-2, you're not going to expect the host to come on and say, hey, you know who was awesome? The goalie whose team gave up 5. But it felt like a good Jacob Markstrom night again. Maybe you would like the Malkin one, but you would really like for Hanifin to not turn the puck over at the blue line, leading to one of the best players in the history of the sport getting the puck on his stick about far away. That seems like it would be a suboptimal result from a play. So while it feels like that's one where you liked for him to get in front of, many men have tried to stop Evgeny Malkin from point blank, and many have failed. So I'm not going to put really any of these goals on him tonight. Like I said before, you have 3 goals that come off of turnovers, and you have 1 coming off of a set play, like Will, our moderator, said. That's a set play that the Penguins run often, and they ran it to perfection in this game. There's nothing that Markstrom could do. There was a lot he could do in the first period, and he did kind of all of it. That kick save on Crosby in front on the power play chance that led to a scramble in front where he makes the diving save. There was just so many quality opportunities, especially with Pittsburgh getting so many power plays in the first period. That felt like another one, just like the Winnipeg game, where it could have gone sideways very quickly. And last year probably would have gone sideways very quickly. But Markstrom was that steadying force between the pipes for the Flames, who stepped up in a big-time way against one of the better offensive teams in the National Hockey League. So a couple of bright spots for the Flames going into this one. All right, it is now time for the question portion of this evening. We will take your questions here in the chat after you've liked the video and subscribed to the channel. That is, not really a prerequisite. I have no way of telling. But yeah, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, follow SDPN Sports on all social media platforms, and, give me a follow too. I am at Primetime Klein. Well, while we are letting some of these come in, just kind of going through the chat a little bit, Josh Depends, are you in my mind? I don't think so. I'm barely in my mind enough, but yeah. Huberdeau's on pace to beat 55 points this year. Takai #1, regular from last year, back in this year. We agree. Greatly appreciate that. Yes, I was on Canuck Clay. You'll know him from Game Over Vancouver. I was on his stream today. He was doing a 12-hour marathon, kind of getting ready for the season. And we were talking about Huberdeau. I was like, well, it can't be as bad as it was last year. Like, literally, he didn't put up enough points last year to have the same point drop-off. So, but no, like, Huberdeau's been fine. It just hasn't been like oh man, this is a 100% Huberdeau game, that this is him doing it. It's just kind of been like, oh, that was neat. Cool. Like that's kind of been the peak of Jacob Markstrom so far this season. Surprisingly pleasant Pens fans in the chat. Yeah, they just scored 5 goals in the last half hour of their lives. I would be in a great mood if my team scored 5 in the third period to pick up a win. All right, let's just see. Da, 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 da. All right, while the questions are coming in, seems like there's been a pretty good chat in the chat this evening. A couple of just quick hitter things I want to touch on, and then as I will continue to monitor while you guys are sending in any questions you have about this game, about the Flames season in general, or anything like that. But by all means, send the questions in here right now. Just a couple of quick ones here. I don't love Sharon Govich being a fourth line center. I feel like one of the reasons you bring him over is because he's underutilized with the New Jersey Devils a season ago. This kid's got offensive upside. He scored 25 goals in the National Hockey League. So use him. I just don't think that you bring in this kid for Tyler Toffoli thinking, okay, the Flames can now maximize something out of him. And you know where they can do that? Centering AJ Greer and Walker Dewar. It feels like not the best way to get the most out of this one. So that's one that I would kind of like to see changed going forward. Will in the chat asking, what do you think the Flames are missing that they need? Do they need to mesh under a new season of a coach? Do they need a trade to fix things? That is an interesting question. I still think this team needs a little bit more offensively. I think defensively they have the players, right? Like I think it's more the structure right now that is kind of failing them. But I do think that offensively, this team could use another just finisher. And that's another reason why I would like Sharon Govich to not be on the same line as AJ Greer. I would just rather he be up in an offensive facing position more often than not. So I think that if you were to go out and make a move with this Flames group, I do think you would want to add a little bit more offensively. Like they have scored, what would it be now? I guess 7 goals in the first 2 games this season, but it still feels like another year where most of these guys are going to have to work really hard to put the puck into the net. And I mean, that's the name of the game. It's the National Hockey League, but they don't have, aside from what seems like Coronado, they don't have just a guy who just shoots and scores a bunch, you know? Like it's drives to the front of the net, puck bounces off of a dude, it ends up hitting his teeth and he spits the puck into the net. Like they have those kind of things where it just, you have to grind for every inch that you have. It would be nice to have a little bit more offensive upside on this team. It's been something that's been talked about forever and always, but when you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, I know we're talking about the Leafs on an SDPN channel, but trust me, it's just follow me on this one. Forever, there have been, at least here, buzzes of, well, the Flames should trade for William Nylander. Because the Flames forever have had extra defensemen and the Toronto Maple Leafs forever have had defensive needs. Now, if they're going to score 7 every night, that feels like it's not as much of a problem, but getting that type of a guy, like just a William Nylander type, someone along those lines, you know, and there's not many of them. I think William Nylander is kind of a special player, but getting one of those types of guys would certainly be an area that I would like to explore from a Flames perspective. Do you think the Flames are allowing zone entry far too easily, or is it a case of getting used to a Sutter-less defensive scheme? They are certainly allowing zone entries way too easily. Like it felt like basically every zone entry tonight for the Pittsburgh Penguins was a clean one. Now, a few of those are because the Flames exited the zone with a pass that ended up getting stolen by Pittsburgh and they came back. So there's not going to be a whole lot of resistance, but it just felt like the neutral zone was way too easy for Pittsburgh tonight. And when you think about it, like this is a complex sport with high level athletes skating around on knives, shooting a piece of rubber and trying to get it the way they want to go. So this can be a complex sport. It can also be very simple. The team that wins the neutral zone wins this game a whole lot. If you can get through that neutral zone with speed, then boy, it makes it easier to set up and chance to put the puck in the net. If you have to grind your way through the neutral zone, or you just don't get to carry the puck through at all and you chip it back and you have to go in and work for it, it all of a sudden, you have to spend 10, 15, 20 seconds getting anything set up, and then you're just kind of hoping you get a chance. The neutral zone is such an important part, and the Flames are certainly lacking in that area right now. And I would say that they are getting used to a Daryl Sutter-less way of doing things. Like that, there are smart defensive players on this team. You know, like Tanev, I think, is one of the smartest in the league. Rasmus Anderson is really good. You look at the forward group. Elias Lindholm, I think, is one of the better two-way forwards in the National Hockey League. Michael Backlund, ditto. Same thing, like Dubé is fine on his own end. Mangiapane knows what he's doing. Blake Coleman has been around this game for forever. He knows what he is doing in the defensive zone. And Kadri is a defensively responsible player as well, I would say. So you have players who know what to do. It's just now getting a system in place and executing that. And you would think you would have part of that nailed down because they played 45 preseason games. But it's part of the early season. So I'm not pushing the panic button just yet. I do think, Josh depends that this was 100%, or this is 100%, a team that is still kind of figuring things out 1 year after they already had to just kind of figure things out a little bit. Keep the questions coming here in the chat. I'll kind of keep going until you guys, or as long as you guys are going in here as well. Left-handed Penman, once another regular from last year, so shout out Left-handed Penman. Great to be chatting once again. Who comes off the roster to clear cap space in a potential trade for a goal scorer? Well, if you're going win now move for win now move, my guess is, like, hypothetically, and I don't have Cap Friendly in front of me, and I'm scared to death of technical issues, so I'm not going to pull it up, but if you're going to make a William Nylander move, say, I would say Hannafin's probably going back. And now, you would have to then add a couple of other chunks of change on top of that. But I would say that if you wanted to make a blockbuster move, Hannafin is going to probably be involved. If you're just looking to clear cap space out of the way to make this type of a splash, that there isn't really that obvious, oh, just put Lucic in there. You could maybe get a team to take Blake Coleman's contract. I don't, off the top of my head, know if he has any type of no move or no trade. It would make sense that he would. That was a pretty big contract for him to sign with this Flames team. And so that might be a bit of a challenge, but he is one that you can, I don't want to say throw in because he's still effective, but I don't think he's one that you have to attach other draft compensation to get teams to pick up. Like if you are making this type of a move and you want it to bring in some salary, you can easily sell to the other team. Look, this guy's played and won in Stanley Cups before, really responsible, can play up and down the lineup here, take the $6 million. But you're right, like that there isn't a big Lucic contract or anyone like that where you can just say, oh, just get rid of that one and move on. So it would honestly probably have to be just a hockey trade, a player for player type of a thing. You couldn't just, oh, the Flames traded a 3rd round pick and got a 30 goal scorer. If they're going to be making moves at the deadline to make this team better, then it's probably going to have to be an actual legitimate hockey move. And look, we all know what's hanging over this team right now. So many unrestricted free agents, many of them saying they didn't want to be here, right? Noah Hannafin very clearly stated he didn't want to be, even in the country of Canada, playing games going forward, at least as his home team. Now, in the first game and parts of the second game, he looked every bit like a player who made a trade request and didn't get one. But you have Lindholm, who is on an expiring contract. You have Tanev on an expiring contract. All of the blue line, except for Weegar and Anderson, are expiring contracts. There are a lot of those on this Flames team. So I think if Calgary is going to make a move, they're going to have to get very creative to do that. Now, I do think, like, I have confidence in Craig Conroy that he is going to be able to be a dude who can do that, but I do think that this isn't going to just be, oh yeah, just ship off American Hockey League or X for someone who can come in and really add to the offensive side of things. I think it's going to have to be a little bit more creative. How long until Coronado is a starting first liner? Well, when's the next game? Monday? Maybe. Like, I would put him up there. But see, here's the thing. Huberdeau and Lindholm have to get going, you know? So, like, I just talking this through right now. I think Coronado, to answer your question, Matt C., I think Coronado is certainly going to be a player who gets top-line minutes at points this season. So, I would say if he hasn't at least touched the top line by the time Christmas rolls around, I'll be very surprised. In the immediate, like right now it feels like, oh yeah, just put him out there. But that top line specifically with Huberdeau and Lindholm needs to get going a little bit. And so that feels like a lot of responsibility. Like, hey, thank you for scoring your first career NHL goal. We really do appreciate it. Do you mind if you could go on a top line and be single-handedly responsible for getting our two most important players going? Thanks, that'd be great. It feels like that's a lot of responsibility to put on him. So in a perfect world, Huberdeau and Lindholm are just clicking, right? Like it's just pass one timer scores, pass one timer scores. Oh, look at that, he just flipped it. Lindholm did a backflip and battered a puck into that. Like in a perfect world, those guys are just on a roll and in a zone, and it is working for them. But it's not. Once those guys do kind of get that chemistry figured out, then it would be good to put a younger player up there, a Coronado or someone along those lines, a Sharangovich even. But for right now, I think Mangiapane is the right guy for the job. But yes, Coronado, to your point, Matsy, Coronado is absolutely going to be a guy who gets top line minutes for this Flames team. I would say before the calendar flips to 2024, and for years and years and years to come. That's going to be a guy who is absolutely right there for the Flames. But yeah, as Will is saying here, I think having him on the top power play and being second line would do a lot better for Coronado right now. Yeah, 100% agree with Will in the chat. J Money, another regular. I'm convinced there's like 8 J Moneys because he's a regular everywhere. With a strong meme game for sure. J Money 81-1 is still in the cards. It absolutely still is, J Money. Optimism abound as the Calgary Flames. Look, tonight was a tough one in that third period. Like if that's a loss that happens in December, I'm probably yelling and screaming and throwing that replica WWE championship against the wall. But it's still early in the season. There's still been more things to like than not about this Flames group, right? Like that was a good win the other night, and it feels a little bit like grasping at whatever, but after they gave up 2 goals in 40 seconds, I thought they responded well until they gave up the third. You know, like that does feel like I'm stretching to compliment a little bit, but I do think it's accurate. Like that there was the 2 goals, and then they come in and a couple of quick opportunities right away. They just don't capitalize. The Penguins do, and all of a sudden the game feels like it's out of reach at that point. Markstrom 100% looks better, and I think this team will get better defensively as the season goes on. As that does happen, Markstrom's going to look better and better and better and better and better. If you're in fantasy hockey, I went out of my way to draft him. I would absolutely try to acquire this guy because I think that his numbers are going to get better as this season goes along. There's a lot more, I think, to be positive about from the Flames standpoint than there is to be negative. Left-handed Penman saying, thanks, Peter. You're welcome. I agree. I don't see an obvious move. I see a glut of left-handed wingers that play similarly in Dubé, Mange, and Peltz. It'd be easier to trade one of them if Peltz was healthy. That's 100% accurate. Yeah, Dylan Dubé, at this point, I feel like the hypothetical value of Dylan Dubé might be more than what he brings to the Flames. Like, this is going to seem really harsh, but like the old Office Space thing, like what is it you do here? Like if you were to say, what's Dylan Dubé's role on this team? I would have a difficult time kind of nailing it down right now because like you said, when healthy, the Flames have a couple of guys who kind of just like play the role of Dylan Dubé a little bit better than Dubé does. Like he's fine on the ice. But if you are going to make a move and want to really upgrade the forward group, I think that is absolutely a player that could be on the move. Will saying for fantasy, I picked up Rust like an hour before the game. Hurtful, but I mean, fair. Yeah, that works. I picked up Gensel. For some reason, I think he got dropped because someone in my league just kind of ran out of IR spots or something because he was hurt leading up to the beginning of the regular season. So I picked up Gensel. So look, was there a mini... when I saw it was Gensel who got the goal? I mean, maybe, but look, we're all competitive people here. Okay, it has been about 35 minutes of me just talking. That's probably enough for you guys to deal with on this night. So, one more time, thank you all so much for tuning in. I have a blast doing these. If you've followed my career at all, you know that there have been times where interactions with fans haven't gone the best for your boy, but I have a blast with the community that has been started here with SDPN and Game Over Calgary. The chats here are so much fun. I get excited to do these. I get excited to do every Game Over that I do. So let's keep these going. Share the wealth. Get these videos out there. Like and subscribe to the channel. The next time you will hear from Game Over Calgary is Monday night when the Flames take on the Capitals of Washington. Audie James will have you covered for that venture for the Flames as they look to bounce back. Quickly, enough of the whole Audie curse thing. Audie's 1-0. I'm 0-1. So if anyone's cursed, maybe it's been flipped around onto me. But hopefully no curses and a better result coming up on Monday and throughout the week. That's going to do it. You guys are awesome. Hopefully you had a great time, and we will talk to you all later.